and welcome to my Twitch stream. Today is January 23rd, 2019, and I am going to be taking some more time to look at my Twitch IRC bot that I've written in Pony. So if you're interested in following along, there are older videos up of previous work that I've done on this. So let's see here. Last time, I think we had started pulling some things out of the bot library, or putting things in the bot library, basically trying to separate the application that I've got from the general purpose bot library. So let's take a look. So we're in our bot library right now, and let me see if I've got any stuff that's hard-coded for our channel. I don't think I do. Nothing that says aturls. Okay. So I think I've got all the things that are specific to my channel removed. And let's take a look at the bot itself. Finally got around to installing the PonyLang Emacs mode, so play around with that a little bit, see how it goes. So what does our bot do right now? Right now it waits for messages that contain famous Mr. Ed, and if it finds them, it sends out a hello there message. So let's see here. Let's make this a little more powerful. Instead of hello there, let's actually say hello to the user. So go to bot library, and when we get a private message, what are we passing? We're passing our connection, and we're passing parameter 0 and parameter 1. Now, let's go ahead and fire the bot up and see what it looks like when we get a message. So I'm typing hello famous Mr. Ed, and so here's what that command looks like when it's coming in from the IRC server. This is what famous Mr. Ed, our Twitch bot, sees. So here we've got the username, and I think it's been a little while. I think really for Twitch, we just want to grab the first part of this. So let's try that and see what happens. You know what, maybe for now we'll just send in the whole prefix. And then our application can figure out what to do with it. So we're going to add the prefix to the signature here in our IRC message responder. And let's just add the prefix. Let's see, we don't need it in the ping, but let's add it, yeah, to the priv message and to the command methods. Okay. So let's do this. It'll be kind of like famous Mr. Ed is now saying hello to the person who said his name, its name. So let's kill our existing Mr. Ed and let's take a look. Okay, yeah, so we're using our local version of the library. Cool. So we should be able to build this. And we got an error. So type does not implement its provides list. Methods have a different number of parameters. My IRC message responder ref is not a subtype. So somewhere along the line, I screwed up a method signature. So I changed two methods. Let's see here. Oops. So down here in the interface for IRC message responder, I meant to type that. And let's try building that again. Okay. Okay. Argument is not a subtype of parameter. So I added the prefix to the command method as an argument, but I did not add it when I was calling the command method on line 135 here. So I need to have prefix here. Okay. So let's connect. There's famous Mr. Ed. I say hello, and it says hello back. Last time somebody tried famous Mr. Ed with an @ sign in front of it, and Mr. Ed did not respond. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on there. This time it worked. So I don't know what the deal was with that, but it seems to be working now. Okay. All right. So let's try something maybe a little more interesting here. Let's make our IRC bot count the number of times it's seen a message from a user. So let's see here. Oh, that's weird. Well, I guess maybe there are some issues with this Emacs plugin. Emacs mode. Well, whatever, we'll keep going. So let's have a map that stores a mapping of username to the number of times that user has said something, or said something to famous Mr. Ed. So we want to use a map that maps strings to u. Let's call it, let's do a u size. Oh, that's really annoying. So I'll just go back to fundamental mode. No highlighting, but maybe no weird tab. Okay. So in order to use map, we need to use the collections library because that's where maps live. Okay, and now every time we see one of these famous Mr. Ed messages, we'll say hello, and we'll also say let's do this. We're going to clean up the the name in a little bit here, but for now we'll just set the nickname to prefix. So we're just going to get whatever's in here for this username and add 1. And actually what we want is, let's do this. So what this does is it either gets the value or it returns 0. And then we add 1 to it, store it back into the map. So we don't even need to do a try block there. Okay, and that should do it. So let's try that and see if that works. And field left undefined in constructor. Okay, so we need a constructor here. We won't pass it any parameters for now, and we'll just say name map equals map string usize. Let's try that again. Okay. So now things are gonna get interesting, and this is where we can see some reference capabilities in action. So receiver type is not a subtype of target type. Receiver type, blah, blah, blah. Target type, hash map. So then down here, box is not a subcap of ref. All right, so what's happening here? Well, hello, Impactor. Yep, stream pony stuff. So what's happening? Well, what happens in Pony is that by default, functions have a reference capability of box, which means that basically they are read only, or they assume that the object that's calling them, they treat it as read only. And so it's implicit unless you specify a different reference capability. So right now we've got box, and this is technically box. So what this means is that we can't actually modify anything in the object that is that we have access to. And it doesn't actually matter, even if the object itself has a different reference capability, even if it's not read-only, within the scope of this function, it's treated as read-only. That's what the box here would mean. So in order to be able to modify this object, we want to make this ref. And we need to make this one, we should probably make this one ref too. So what this means is that now when we call this method, we have to have a we have to call it with a receiver that has a reference capability, but now we'll be able to modify it. So we've changed that here in our class. We also need to change that in the interface that we've defined. We should probably go ahead and make all of these ref. And let's clean this up. Okay, so now we should be able to modify um, the object from within this method. So let's try building that again. I guess just to be a little more clear, because the basically this object here uh, had been read-only, that means that all of its fields were read-only too. So even though this map uh, would be modifiable if we had a ref, since we were inside a box method, the map was not modifiable. It was read-only because the containing object was read-only. Okay, so that compiled. And let's add a command maybe that'll print out the number of times each user has said famous Mr. Ed. So else if message is name count. So if it's name count, then let's just figure out a way to represent this thing. So we're going to say for so this is going to iterate over the name map, not values, pairs. So this will give us an iterator that will return a tuple of name and count from the map, and we're going to create a string here, and we're just going to keep actually make this immutable, but we're going to keep appending things to it. So how do we want to do this? Sure, we'll do it like this. And so then we're going to write that thing out. Nope, argument not a subtype of parameter. Yeah, it's our first error up here. So the problem here is that C is a usize, and we can only concatenate strings to other strings. So I need to get a string representation of C here. So that's the first error. The second error is argument is not a subtype of parameter. So repr is a string ref, and the parameter is a string val. So, right. So this is one of the weird things about Pony. If I use string here, I get as a constructor. The constructor for string gives me back a string with a reference capability of ref. But then most of the time, if I want a string, I actually want a string val. So I can do a few different things here. Let's just do the easiest thing, which is to create this with an empty string literal. This should give me a string val, and now I won't have to worry about recovering or consuming or anything like that. So rebuild. Okay. And built. So let's try this again. Okay, so then I say hello, famous Mr. Ed. Okay, and now I do a name count. Oh, Just kidding. Okay. So I'm getting an error message back from the server saying unknown command. So exclamation points, I guess, are interpreted by Twitch as Twitch commands and not as something that I can work with. So let's try something a little different here. Now let's just don't know, what do people usually do? Dot? Let's try that. Gonna kill me here. Okay. What's gonna happen there? Do 2 exclamation points. Okay, so let's just sneak that guy in. Okay, let's rebuild. So yeah, the question was there an attempt to concatenate stringable objects implicitly? Yeah, well, I attempted to concatenate a number to a string, and that doesn't work. So I did something wrong. That's why I had to go back and fix that thing. Okay, so here's famous Mr. Ed. Oh. unknown command space. Or what's it trying to tell me here? Something tells me it doesn't like what what Mr. Ed is trying to say. It may just not like an empty message. So let's start it with this. Something tells me that I'm not counting correctly, or I'm doing something wrong. Obviously, I'm doing something wrong. Oh, shoot. And right. Okay. Because what I really want to do is I want to be sending a private message, so I have to do this whole thing. I think I added, yeah, okay. So this should be, there we go. And while we're here, okay, I'm gonna change this thing to use that format as well. Okay. So just to recap there, basically there's like an IRC format, and I was not following that format correctly. You have to send commands in. So let's see, what did it not like? Oh, argument not a subtype of parameter, right? So the IRC, this IRC command thing, I'm actually supposed to pass it a connection and the string that I want to send. Rather than calling it to get a string back and then directly writing that out. And I was doing the same thing down here too. Now I should be able to build. Not enough arguments. Oh, I also need to tell it the channel name. instead of hard coding that, it should really be using the channel name that I'm passing in. Or that's being passed into me. Okay, let's try this one more time. Okay. So I sent name count. I got a processing name count. Message here. And nothing got printed. So what did I do wrong? Well, when in doubt, throw in a debug. Okay, so name count should be empty braces. Don't know why that's not printing. Well, let's see what happens if I say hello a couple of times. So it's creating the string. For some reason, yeah, it wasn't saying anything. I see that it also wasn't responding when I said, hello, famous Mr. Ed. Let me debug what I'm getting for channel here. Okay. So when I pass the channel, I'm passing it with the octothrope, the number sign, hashtag, whatever. But I'm also appending an octothrope when I call priv message. So I need to decide whether the channel that I pass in should keep that octothrope and then priv message should expect the octothrope, or if I should not, if I should expect it to come in with the octothrope and not add one. Let's just say that let's see, is that actually required by the IRC spec? Trying to figure out if the octothrope is required by the IRC spec for a channel name. So let's look at the IRC RFC. Okay, so the first character is either an ampersand or an octothrope. So let's go ahead and say that the caller has to provide that, and so we need to change priv message here. In fact, let's I guess all of these are adding the octothrope for us. Let's pull it out of priv message for now. Okay, so that works now. All right. So again, we changed it so that priv message doesn't automatically add an octothrope. So we can use the channel name that we got in from the library because it just passes the full string in. It doesn't try to strip off the octothrope from the command that it gets from the server. Okay, let's do that for all of these. Rebuild. goodness, Mr. Ed comes in and says Wilbur. Run name count. Name count is empty. We'll say hello to Mr. Ed. Now if we run name count again, we should see a kind of a map here of the name to the number of times that name said Mr. Ed. Yep, okay. So what have we done here? We have changed the IRC message responder class so that it is able to modify, we've changed the methods so that they're ref instead of box, so that they can be used to modify data that's part of the object. And so now we can actually store and update state inside the object in response to things that happen in the world. So that's kind of a neat feature. Let's clean this up so that aturls isn't hard-coded here. When we say Wilbur, okay. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to get the aturls here. Which appears to be the second to last parameter, maybe. Oh, here we go. Yeah. It's an interesting way to do this. Okay. So should give us the second to last parameter, and that. Okay, so we did this, we got our channel, we said Wilbur in the channel, so that works now. Let's see here. Sorry, I saw something here that surprised me, so I got a ping. Looks like I didn't send a pong. Just gonna leave this running for a little bit and see if I see that again. Let's see. So I've still got this thing hard-coded here. So really what I want to do is call IRC message responder ping con Okay, I think the problem was that there was no params1, and so this was erroring out. So nothing was happening. So let's rebuild. Okay, and if we wait long enough, we should see a pong. Or ping, and then send a pong out. And yeah. All right, what else do we want to do? Let's figure out what should be happening with the prefix. Okay, so here's the command, the format. We should see for the prefix. So let's come over here and see if we see that. Okay, so this is server name or nickname, exclamation point, user at host. So username, nickname at host. Cool. Let's write a function or primitive that just splits the prefix into its parts. Should I, let's see here. So some of these are optional. All right. Prefix is string. We're going to return a tuple of string. So we'll just return empty strings if we don't have values for those things. So we'll always get either a server name or a nickname, and then we might or might not get the user followed by the host. And actually, sorry, really it's we might or might not get a user and we might or might not get a host. So we could get one or the other or both. I think Twitch will always send us both, but let's make this a little bit general. So we're going to say let's see here. You can say actually, you know what? I think we can do it like this. Let's take a look. I think if we give 2 characters here in the string, it will split on either one of those. Split the string into an array of strings that are delimited by delim in the original string. Oh, just looking at the wrong thing. Here we go. Delim. Split the string into an array of strings. Any character in the delimiter is accepted as a delimiter. That's what I want. Okay. So this will split it up. Except that's not exactly what I want. You know what? For now, never mind. For now, let's just use this. This will be good enough. return a tuple of all right, we can do some fancier parsing later. For now, let's just do this. So we want the, just grab the first thing in the tuple. Oh, hey, and our ping pong is working again. Okay. So let's rebuild. And we're going to say hello, famous Mr. Ed. And spit the whole thing back out at us again, didn't it? Oh, because I'm using prefix and not nick. Well, let's see if it did the right thing for nick. We should be able to do name count, and it should have only stored the username. And it did. Okay, so we just shouldn't have done prefix there. Okay, neat. All right, well, it's a little past 4 o'clock. I'm going to wrap this up. But yeah, today we did a little more cleaning up on our library and moved a few things around, changed the signature of a few of the methods so that we could actually modify the object that the method was being called on within the method. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and I will stream some more later.